From the time I was young, I was always playing with cars, motorcycles, and other machines. But when your hobby turns into your work, it's a great feeling. It gives me enormous fun driving my machines around the neighborhood. When people see all my inventions, they always get a smile on their face. Testing it over and over again, designing it, and then driving it. It's the best feeling in the world. Getting my inventions out on the street for the first time is a feeling you just can't describe. My name is Baum, and I'm the inventor of these cool rides. Since I'm quite new here in Orlando, I don't know many of my neighbors yet. But when I was testing my vehicles back in Pennsylvania, the whole neighborhood would come out and watch. Because they all knew me, you know, I was a crazy guy up the street. Every once in a while, the garage door would come open and out would come a new crazy vehicle, you know, more ridiculous than the last one. Yeah, let's give it a shot. I call this one the Baum bicycle, or BDC for short. Yeah, it looks like a regular monowheel, but this one's a little bit more complex. You see, in a monowheel, the rider drives the machine from inside a single hoop. You know, they're just wobbly and unstable and not really fun to ride because you're afraid you're gonna hurt yourself. You know, with the bicycle, I put another wheel beside it, and that makes it more stable and therefore more fun to ride. And if it's more fun to ride, more people are gonna wanna build it. I design and build fun stuff. And for every invention I make a building plan. And these plans I sell cheap on the internet. You know, a lot of people look at the plans and say, Al, you could get $200 out of these plans. Why are you charging 20 bucks? The answer is, I want people to build them. Build it with their friends, build it with their family. Keep it cheap, and that way I can transfer my creativity to somebody else and let them run with it. It's the nature of the inventor. You know, that was a real nice ride on the bicycle, but in order to make the rides, you got to design the rides. You know, when I was a kid, I was building vehicles from toys already. Now I do the same thing as a grown-up, but with real stuff. When I was in high school, I was always messing around with mechanics and machines, and all I had was old beat-up cars, you know, so I had to make them work. They always needed repair. When we moved, we made it the decision that we were going to pick a spot that had a really good workshop so I can continue with my inventions. Inventing, you know, some say that's difficult, but parenting, that's really tough. The biggest achievement in my mind is being a single father to my 2 children. We used the invention process to help bring us together. The kids would help me out in different aspects. It turned out really good. I became a stay-at-home daddy inventor because inventing from home was a way to keep me with the kids, and I was able to involve the kids. And it was great to get a kid's perspective because they don't think the same way. They'll tell you the truth. Well, I offer build plans so people can build the stuff themselves. I know a lot of people do father and son projects and make scout projects out of my build plans, so that kind of makes me feel good that I can help out with other designs. My first inventions were actually home improvement projects. It was the auto beverage. The auto beverage was a system that I actually built into the house. It was integrated into the walls. You know, at the time, my son was very young, and we were kind of into model railroading. We figured, hey, let's build something into the house. It actually sold the house for me. New ideas, new inventions, you know, they just keep coming all the time. People are building go-karts with wheels. The Army's able to drive around tanks. Wouldn't it be awesome to have a tank of your own with tracks, something in between? I think the reason that small track vehicles are not common is because the tracks are too expensive. You can't buy tracks. I developed the idea of using tires as tracks. You just cut away the sidewall and guess what? There you have a track. And it costs almost nothing. This is the idea that makes my designs affordable as track vehicles. The average person can build them now. The Magic Carpet is probably one of the funnest vehicles I have to ride because you ride standing it up. But it's not something I want to ride too close to the house. It's pretty powerful, pretty fun. So I'm going to take it to a field that I know of where I can test it thoroughly and not be bothered. Why did I call it the magic carpet? I don't know, because it's like riding a magic carpet. I mean, you stand up on it, you ride it, it's very agile, it goes up and down, it's hard to hang on to sometimes, and there's almost a feeling of being on the edge of control. And even when you're not going as fast as you think you are, it seems like you're going very fast because you're high off the ground. When you turn the handlebar, there's a special mechanism underneath that applies the brake on one side or the other. So if I want to turn left, I turn the handlebar to the left and the left brake comes on and the right track keeps going and then I go to the left. And hopefully I'm holding on. I have so many new ideas to execute. I'll finish my workshop as fast as I can and then I'll go full speed ahead on some of these new inventions. In April 2016, I moved down here. I found a new job. To work as a theme park ride design engineer is it's like a dream come true. I mean, look at the stuff I do. Hey, Robert. This is the Prototype Development Center. What we do here is take pieces of the ride and we tailor them, mate them with the creative part, and we test these portions of the ride to get them just right. And then eventually they're added to the total ride system. You know, getting to ride all these fun new rides is the best part of my job. Since we have the biggest clients in the world, we're all the time building big attractions. My work is very similar to my inventions at home. In fact, sometimes at work, I feel like I'm at home. I'm doing hands-on stuff. I have to think about new rides. How will the people react to them? The same way I think about the stuff I build. It's the nature of the inventor. I have to think about how are you going to sit in this ride? Yes, that seems much smoother. That's the same thing I do. You got to be able to get in it, be comfortable. It's very similar, and it's a lot of fun because going to work is almost like going out to my workshop. Wow. Much better, much better. You know, the inventive process, it's all about creativity, and my mind is always running that way towards inventions. So I need something that actually a disconnect, not an inspiration. I get enough inspiration. So I turned to baseball. I've been playing baseball since I was a kid. Baseball for me is actually a distraction. It's a disconnect. It's a way to shut my mind off.
Let's go, Pops!
When I'm playing baseball, I gotta pay attention. My mind can't be on something else. So this forces me to disconnect from invention, creation, work. And besides, it's a lot of fun. The invention process for me is healthy for my mind. It keeps my mind sharp. The start of it is always just an idea, just a notion. Maybe I'm driving in a car and I see something on the side of the road. I say, that looks cool, but wouldn't it be cooler if, then the wheels start turning it, and it'll start with a hand sketch. And when you finally get the test on the street, it's a great feeling, especially if everything works as planned, but it really doesn't. It all starts with the design phase. You put together the best design you possibly can, and then you come up with a build, and you build it the best you can, and along the way you find problems, and you go back to the drawing board before you even roll it out on the street sometime. The Mantis is my most advanced vehicle so far. I set up this little obstacle course because I want to test the new springs in the suspension. It actually has a transmission with reverse, so I can run one side of the tracks forward, the other side in reverse, and do a true zero radius pivot turn. The Mantis is definitely by far the hardest to build. If you're going to try to tackle building the Mantis, you'd better have some experience. It's not a speed demon, but if you're looking to go up and down some obstacles and turn some heads, that's the one. Well, we threw a track on the one side, and we skipped the chain on the other side. This happens. These are experimental vehicles, prototype vehicles, as part of the inventing process. Trial and error. Figure out what went wrong, and then make a change. You test it, you debug it, you figure out what's wrong, and you refine it. Getting your hands dirty is part of the creative process. You can't expect to do everything in the computer and on the drawing board and not have some sort of thing that you overlooked out in the real world. So As you become an inventor and as you begin to increase complexity in your machinery, you're going to learn that you're going to spend a lot of time on the ground. It's just part of the process. One of my latest inventions is what I call the drift trike industrial. It's easier to build. These PVCs are the part that make the drift trike slide. So you have to replace them every once in a while because, as you can see, they wear out. You could put that together in a weekend and be riding it by Sunday afternoon. The drift trikes are out there. I didn't invent the drift trike. I just made my version of it. And my version just happens to be easier to build and I think more fun. It makes a great father and son project. It's easy to build. You don't need many tools, just a welder, really. The trike is made from flat steel, all flat steel, so even somebody without a pipe bender and not much of a machine shop can make one. All they have to do is take the build plans that I gave them. Mine has a cup holder. Man.
Yep, I gotta have one of these.
What do you think?
That is sick. That is just badass.
People can't help it. They have to stop, they have to turn, they have to look. Then they'll point. Sometimes they'll stop me, and then I get to know a new neighbor.